Excellent. We are live. We are live. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. We can stop the music, please. Hello. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. And thank you very much for being here. We are live in LinkedIn Live. My name is Miguel Cortines, and I'm the president of the Canadian Council for the Americas, Alberta. I'm based here in Calgary, in Alberta, in Canada, and we are very excited this morning to present this ¿Qué pasa in Mexico podcast. This is part of the series that we are doing with ¿Qué pasa, promoting different countries, but today in particular, Mexico is a very important market for Canada, and well, we are very happy that you are here. If you are watching via LinkedIn, so you can put your comments there, and probably we are going to see it here, and we can reply. Today we want to have a conversation. Basically, it's not a webinar in per se. We want to have a conversation. We have great speakers, friends, and people with knowledge of the Canada-Mexico relationship. I'm going to introduce them in a few minutes. But first, I want to start with just why is important this conversation today. So there is last September, Premier Mark Carney was in Mexico. They have a meeting with President of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, and they signed an important agreement. That is the Canada-Mexico Enhanced Partnership. And basically from that moment, I think the intensification of the activity of the relationship between Mexico and Canada has been very, very intense. I have been in conversations with officers of the Canadian Embassy in Mexico City. The agenda is very intense in different areas. There are different areas of opportunity. So in CCA, we believe that this is a very, very important moment for the Canada-Mexico relationship. And for that reason, we want to contribute in this way to enhance this partnership, this relationship, find opportunities, create opportunities or spaces for opportunity for more Canadian companies to explore Mexico and Latin America. And that's the reason because we are doing this. Going to mention here as well that the Canada-Mexico Enhanced Strategic Partnership has 4 strategic pillars that I'm going to mention. But the first one is the prosperity one, that basically is based in deepen the trade, investment, and economic linkages between the two countries. We have already a great relationship in different areas, in energy, in agri-food, in clean energy as well, and in another areas of opportunity. The second pillar is the mobility, well-being, and inclusion. Basically, the objectives here is to improve labor mobility and also social inclusion. As you know, for the Mexican government, it's very important to work with the most vulnerable people in the country. And I think this is a great area of opportunity for Canadians that want to explore business in Mexico. And the third pillar is the security area. So the goals here is to strengthen cooperation on to fight organized crime, drug trafficking, human smuggling, and cyber threats. So both governments are working very hard in this area. And another pillar of this Canada-Mexico Enhanced Strategic Partnership is the environment and sustainability. Obviously, both governments are very committed for the environment and just to have better practices in terms of developing energy resources and another area. So I'm going to move on my next slide here. They are implementing an action plan, and basically this action plan is basically the commitment that both governments have to make happen these things, just to execute. So there are different areas that are covered here. It's trade and investment, how to expand bilateral commercial ties, facilitated trade in sectors like energy, critical minerals, agriculture, infrastructure, and ports. And probably today we are going to talk a little bit in depth about that with our guests that are here with us today. Another area of opportunity in the action plan is infrastructure, the development of long-term infrastructure such as ports, rail, energy corridors to improve connectivity and competitiveness in the region. Premier Daniel Smith was in Mexico as well, meeting with President Sheinbaum, the Premier of Alberta. And obviously, we are a province here in Alberta that is very strong in the area of energy resources. And basically, most of the conversations were how can Alberta contribute to Mexico. And I guess that is going to speak about that in a few minutes. The another area is security cooperation. So it's a new bilateral security dialogue to disrupt transnational organized crime networks and enhance information sharing. I think you have seen in the news many developments in the area of security, how to enhance security in Mexico and also in Canada, I could say. Another area in this action plan is social initiatives. Just John, action on emissions reduction, biodiversity protection. Investment in programs to support migrant integration, and labor mobility between both countries. We have a lot of talent mobility right now, but I think there are more areas of opportunities. We have the SWAT programs with foreign workers, Mexican workers in the agri-food sector. They are coming to Canada every year, and there is a great example of good collaboration. And this might be an opportunity for another sectors as well to replicate this model. And the final area is climate and environment. There is a commitment to joint efforts in action on emission reductions, biodiversity protection, and sustainable resource management. And with that, I want to mention very briefly that the Canadian Council for the Americas, first, we are going to be part of the trade mission, the Canadian trade mission that is going to Mexico this February, just in 2 weeks. I'm going to be in Mexico on February 15th to the 20th is going to be the mission. And this is very significant because this is the largest delegation, that is one of the largest delegations over the world. There is a lot of interest for Mexico. I think there is going to be more than 200 people attending this mission from the Canadian side, and another portion from the Mexican side as well. Minister LeBlanc is going to lead this important mission. And as CCA, we are very committed to work together, to support, to facilitate linkages for our members, for Canadian companies that want to go to Mexico. We are in conversation as well with the CANCHAM, the Canada-Mexico Chamber of Commerce, just to sign a memorandum of understanding, just to create more collaborations. But anyway, this is our agenda for the Canada-Mexico Summit that is going to be next March 10 of this year in Calgary. So everybody is welcome. There is a QR code there. You can take a look in the QR code and just try to be with us. We have opportunities to participate in different models. And with that, I want to introduce our guest speakers. We are basically going to provide an opportunity for each of them just to introduce themselves and provide a short overview about the work they do and about this presentation. And after, we are going to have a casual conversation with different topics, and you are welcome as well, the public that is watching right now, to send questions or comments about something that you are interested in. And I'm going to start today with Benigno Rojas Moreno. He's trade director with the government of Alberta, with the Minister of Jobs, Economy, and Trade. And welcome, Benigno. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Miguel. If you don't mind just putting my presentation, Gerald. Thank you very much. So as Miguel introduced me, my name is Benigno Rojas, Trade Director for the Americas, and also a member of the CCA and part of the Board of Directors. So happy to be with all of you. Thank you very much. And next, please. Next. Okay. yeah, I would like to give a little bit of a context of what we do and how we can help uh, companies interested in exporting to Mexico and the Americas region. So, first of all, to define our responsibility basically is to manage the overall international trade export development activities for Alberta, including promotion of strategic strategies that support market diversification and growth on Alberta companies. We are divided, as you can see from this slide, in five geo regions: Americas, Europe, Indo-Pacific, Middle East, African, and North Asia. My responsibility lies basically focus on the Americas, and we have a focus in different sectors as listed here. I just want to highlight the three first one that are listed here. This is where we really focus very much in my unit: energy, environment, and communications technology. Next, please. Um, just to summarize, to give you a little bit of a picture of what we do. So we have strategic services that we can offer to our clients, clients, export-ready companies that I alluded later before. So first of all, is we help companies to educate themselves as to what the opportunities might be. In this case, in the Americas. We also educate the markets as to what our competitive advantages might be that Alberta can offer to those markets. And third, we provide strategic advice. We're not consultants, to be honest with you, but we have a network of connections around the world that we can provide strategic advice, introducing key people that is beneficial for our clients. How we deliver those? Very simple. We organize inbound missions. Argentina coming to Alberta, or Mexico coming to Alberta. Outbound missions. We usually organize outbound missions into the Americas. Information dissemination. We have a newsletter that we disseminate information. And we have a number of strategic activities. I don't want to mention all of them, but that we help companies to showcase what they do, like seminars, booths that we have in trade shows, etc. And we support also to other of our colleagues in the investment attraction and international relations. Next, please. We don't work alone. We partner with a number of people and organizations that are listed in here internally within the government of Alberta, different offices. We have offices in the Americas, in the United States. We have 5 offices, and Mexico is the only office in Latin America that I just want to mention here in this conversation. We work internally with other branches, ministries within the government of Alberta, and agencies, government agencies as well. Externally, we work very closely with the federal government, other provinces, regional offices, post-secondary and industry association, which is the case of the CCA. Next one, please. What is our niche market, put it that way? So we really focus on small, medium-sized companies and export-ready companies that want to explore international markets, in this case, again, the Americas. We don't say no to the large organizations, and it happens that they come along sometimes, more kind of the branding than anything else. But again, small, medium-sized, export-ready companies. Next one, please. I just want to introduce very quickly. We have a program that is called Export Expansion Program Alberta. Basically, what it is a financial support that the government of Alberta offers to the small, medium-sized companies, basically to offset some of their expenses when travel along with us in outbound missions. Here's the website. Probably Miguel can share with you for those that are interested in exploring more and assess the possibility of having access to this financial. Next. Just coming into now the topic that brought us today. Again, the picture of the Americas. Again, we cover from Alaska all the way to the Patagonia. And as you can see, probably and the next one will kind of explore more what is the position Mexico versus our exports internationally. But it's a very elongated region where we are responsible for promoting exports from Alberta to this in this part of the world. Next one, please. Just a little bit of a context of the numbers. If you can see, the United States is a number one partner for us in the export perspective. It is almost 90% of our exports go to the United States, as you can imagine. China, Japan, South America, South Korea, and Mexico is in there. And if you see in the following kind of chart, it says basically what is the trade between Alberta in both directions, import and exports. And I don't want to get into numbers, but again, the United States is leading the way. But Mexico is, we are in the range of $3 billion two ways kind of trade. Next one, please. A little bit more about Mexico. As you can see, historically, Alberta has been a kind of a deficit. It means we import more than we export. So that has been along all these years. I just want to highlight that and some of the specifics. But next one, please. Highlights, I think Miguel already mentioned some of them, but I just want to focus on what affects us as part of the promotion of trade. Obviously, the trade agreements, it is one of the issues that we take into consideration when foster trade into Mexico. We have CUSMA, we have CTPP, Pacific Alliance, a number of trade agreements that Mexico has. It's a large economy in the world. We have to consider if we consider Latin America, you'll see it is one of the main ones. A very young population, lots of advantages. And one of the issues that I want to highlight, Mexico is really keen on increasing the production, and a priority is energy security. And we have seen along the years that Mexico used to produce 3 million barrels, now it's producing 1.6. That is a great opportunity for us as an Albertan, very focused on oil and gas. So that I just want to highlight that. Miguel already mentioned about the Canada-Mexico Action Plan. I don't want to dwell on it. Lots of major transitions in Mexico, some tensions, obviously, and institutional shifts that Mexico is undergoing. And needless to say, the complexity with the United States at this moment, big challenges for Mexico. Next, please. I was saying about how do you compare with other Latin American countries. Mexico leads the way. If you wonder how we select the countries, that is a list of some criteria that we use to select countries, like competitive advantage, future potential sectors, etc., etc. I don't want to dwell on it. Just want to say, kind of send you the message how Mexico is compared with other Latin American countries. Next one, please. Finally, I just want to mention that obviously the relationship Mexico and Alberta is very strong. Is bilateral relations in all these sectors and that Miguel already alluded to, but it is agriculture, energy that are listed here. Very fast growing country, the fifth largest, as I mentioned, trade partner. Oil and gas, again, is one of the main topics that Premier Daniel explained, as Miguel mentioned. So that is something that gives us a very interesting competitive advantage in the export side, export of products and services, and even commodities. Strong business relationship in Mexico, presence like TC Energy, WestJet, ATCO, they are present in Mexico. One important thing that for those that are interested in exporting to Mexico, Alberta is very well regarded and has a tremendous reputation, and that gives us again a competitive advantage. We have the office in Mexico, and one of the trade shows that we usually participate is the Mexican Petroleum Congress. That's it. I think I finished my presentation. Next, yeah. Later we can have some questions. Um, don't worry about the final comments. We can discuss that. Let's skip that one. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Miguel.
Benigno. Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate that. And right now, I would like to introduce Eduardo Jimenez. He's director for the Alberta Bureau for International Education. And Eduardo was just in Mexico in an important trade mission, and he's going to welcome to the stage, Eduardo.
Thank you, Miguel, and thank you, Benigno, for that great overview of the opportunities and services that are available for businesses to explore the market in Mexico and in the region. So, hello and welcome, everyone. Today, I'm excited to share an overview of Alberta's post-secondary education system and its expanding collaboration with Mexico, anchored by recent work led by the Alberta Bureau for International Education. I'm the director of the Alberta Bureau for International Education, and our mandate is to work with all 26 publicly funded post-secondary institutions in Alberta in helping them advance in international education, especially on the partnership side of things with other institutions abroad. And in this case, we're going to be talking a little bit about the Mexican network. So just to put it under perspective, Alberta is a globally recognized education hub, home to 26 publicly funded colleges, polytechnics, and universities that together serve a diverse body of students and industry. The strength of this system lies on its breadth and practical alignment with real world skills and regional economic priorities. So the delivery of education is very tied to what is currently happening in Alberta and the economic sectors that we serve. From anything from applied research and technical training to industry linked credentials and workforce readiness. So while Alberta has long engaged with Mexico, recent engagement with Mexico marks a meaningful deepening of the partnership, not only in student mobility, but in a reciprocal institutional collaboration. That is what we've been looking for and working with some of our Mexican partners. Um, Last month, just to give you an example, ABI led an Alberta Mexico partnership mission to Mexico City and the Jalisco state, bringing together senior representatives from several of our Alberta post-secondary institutions. In general, the mission was very successful, and the from comments from participants, the mission wasn't just a series of meetings, which normally happens in a lot of missions. It was deeper than that. It was an on-the-ground engagement focused on listening, learning, and building relationships that with Mexican partners. The delegation participated in discussions with the Jalisco Consortium of Universities working. So there is a consortium in Jalisco of 6 universities working in advancing international education. And as ABI, we collaborated and partnered with them so that our Alberta institutions can work with them on the ground. We also met with the National Association of Universities and Post-Secondary Institutions in Mexico City. This is the body that represents more than 170 post-secondary institutions in Mexico. And again, like they're very similar to the variety that we have here in Alberta, representing colleges or the equivalent to colleges, polytechnics, and university. We also met with industry stakeholders. We always like to make the connection between academia and the industry or economic sector to explore areas like academic exchange, applied research collaboration, and technical education partnerships that benefit both regions. So there is a lot to learn from us, with Mexican institution and Mexican institution from us. So there is that common understanding and knowledge exchange that is beneficial for both regions. Participants shared that the conversations uncovered tremendous opportunities for joint programs, students and faculty mobility, and collaborative research, especially in disciplines where Alberta and Mexico have complementary strengths. So there, like as Benigno and Miguel were saying, energy, the energy sector, IT, agriculture, and so on are sectors that were strong here in Alberta as well as Mexico, and there is a lot of opportunity for exchange of knowledge between academia and in both regions. This mission reflects ABI's, the Alberta Bureau for International Education, broader mandate to act as a system-level bridge between Alberta's diverse post-secondary ecosystem and global partners like Mexico, helping institutions identify synergy, navigate partnerships, and build long-term sustainable engagement rather than one-off engagement. So our goal is to go deeper into the collaboration stream and help institutions to just engage in a way that it's long-term, that is sustainable, and that it's beneficial for both parties. Together, Alberta and Mexico are shaping collaborations that extend beyond student exchange, and this is something that I would like to highlight. It works toward co-developed learning pathways, share research, and workforce solutions that will benefit both regions in the decades to come ahead. To be honest, so with that I will just close it here, and then we can start having conversation and hear your question and ask your questions as we go on. But thank you for tuning in, and we're excited to continue strengthening Alberta, Mexico education ties.
Excellent. Thank you, Eduardo. Thank you very much for that.
My pleasure.
And now we are going to continue the conversation. I welcome today Travis Bembenek. And he is the president and CEO of Mexico Daily News. I just met Travis. I read the articles that his team presents, and wow, I'm very impressed with all the work that you do. And welcome to the stage, Travis.
Thank you, Miguel. Thank you. It's nice to be here. As Miguel said earlier, there are times where the relationship between the U.S., Canada, and Mexico is stable, calm, perhaps even boring. This is not one of those times, right? It is not business as usual between our three countries. Mexico News Daily is a fully in English digital news platform, primarily for expats about Mexico. So we are the leading source of news and information about Mexico, written in English, primarily for expats. 80% of our readers are actually outside of Mexico, and 10% of our readership, which averages between 1 and 2 million people per month, are from Canada. What we do at Mexico News Daily is bring you what's going on in Mexico, right? So Mexico, what's going on, and then Mexico's relationship with the world, with a primary focus on Canada and the United States. Just to highlight a couple of the examples of how dynamic things are right now and how important it is to stay on top of what's going on between our countries. Just in the last week, there's been 3 examples that I think any business person in Alberta, Canada in general, or really North America needs to be aware of and on top of. The first example is US and Mexico began formal trade talks last week without Canada, right? Of course, Canada is part of CUSMA, but there's been a lot of threats from President Trump towards Canada and Mexico. There's been tariffs, there's been a lot of noise. And, the big news item of late last week was that the United States and Mexico together began the formal renegotiation discussions. And actually, we had an article about it asking, what about Canada? And just kind of analyzing where Canada's at on that. The second thing was a news item just from last night, and that's that the United States and Mexico are going to begin cooperating and collaborating. The details are still not totally known on critical minerals, right? So again, I think, an area of significant interest for Canadians. And I think it's important to understand this groundbreaking first-time agreement between the United States and Mexico on critical minerals, what it means, what are the business opportunities for companies, and specifically Canadian companies and Canadian investors. And I think the third thing, again, just in the last few days, President Sheinbaum here in Mexico announced a brand new doubling down on her federal government investment plan. So she announced over $300 billion of investment that are going to take place in Mexico over the next few years, with the number one source of that money going towards is the energy industry. Okay, so she highlighted specifically transportation and infrastructure, water, and energy. And so energy is almost half of the money that's going to be coming from the federal government going into the energy industry. So again, big opportunities for Canadians and Canadian companies. So again, I just want to highlight the importance. There's times perhaps where it's not so necessary to be staying on top of the news. I know the news brings fatigue to a lot of people, but I would strongly encourage you and our team of 75 people throughout Mexico are bringing you really what's going on with the peso, what's going on with the economy, inflation, the minimum wage. It's a very dynamic time in the country, and we're happy to bring you the perspective on what's going on.
Thank you, Travis, for the introduction, and perfect. And thank you to all of three. And I think we can bring everyone to the stage, and we can start to have a conversation. If you can open your mics, please, as well, Benigno and Eduardo, and we can have we agree basically. We don't have any prepared questions. We want just to have an open conversation. And we invite the public as well that are watching. You can put your questions as well in the LinkedIn. So I want to start with the probably one of each of you, but I'm going to start with Benigno. How do you see? I know that Premier Smith was here in Mexico with a very successful mission to Mexico, and one of the aspects I remember is one of the statements that the Premier mentioned is about the capabilities that Alberta has to provide Mexico with support in the energy infrastructure, energy security. What can you share on that aspect? What Alberta has to offer specific in the energy sector to Mexico?
Thank you, Miguel. I think, there's a number of things that we have. It is not something that happens right now. We have been pretty proactive in the development of the energy sector, particularly oil and gas. We envision a number of kind of subsectors, put in that way, where Alberta can excel. For instance, I don't know, we have mature fields, marginal fields, something that Mexico is in need of. The shale development in the north of Mexico is an opportunity that may be coming soon, and we have the expertise of doing that. So I don't know if you know, but the border with the United States, how they have developed the fracking and the shale gas doesn't stop in the border. It goes, all this basin goes in the north of Mexico. That is something that potentially Alberta can excel. Needless to say about the midstream, for instance, in the midstream side, there is a lot of possibilities for Alberta to contribute in all the technologies and what we have developed in pipeline development. As I alluded before, we have two participants in the market, but it's another area where we can excel and offer to Mexico, right? So I will just conclude with that.
Excellent. Okay, I have a question for you, Travis. With this investment that you mentioned, do you see that there are opportunities not just for local companies, but also right now the Mexican government is more open to work with international companies? Is that correct?
Yeah, I think one of the big concerns of the first year of the Sheinbaum presidency was the lack of GDP growth, right? So GDP actually in Mexico last year finished at 0.7%. And a lot of people were saying, okay, there's a lot of great initiatives that the Sheinbaum administration is doing, but growing the economy doesn't seem to be high enough on the list. And so I think it's really great news that she just on Monday of this week came out with this new plan of the doubling down of federal government investing in these areas. And I think what's important, if you look at the details of the announcement, it talks about public private partnerships, right? And I think that's a recognition that the government is starting to have that they're going to be more open to better terms, better agreements, better conditions for public companies, private companies to invest with public, right? So a big concern on the energy industry in particular was that the rules of engagement for private enterprise weren't as clear as people would like them to be, right? And then there was some reforma energética, energy reform that came out last year, and it wasn't necessarily the terms or the conditions that companies were excited about on investing in. And I think what we're seeing the beginning of now is more openness towards making the playing field more interesting for private companies to invest.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you.
Sure.
Before I'm going to show a question from the public, but before that, I want to ask a question for Eduardo. You just were in Mexico. Maybe you can share about the how do you feel the market there? How do you feel the vibes about this excitement of Mexican companies and Canadians as well to work together? And how you mentioned something important in your presentation, how we can go from the academic to industry. What kind of projects are happening right now that they are really going to contribute to this, to promote business and to promote innovation and technology in a new era that we are living, where we are everything is transforming, right?
The environment there was very interesting, and for in my case that I've been there before, it was completely, you could sense the excitement about Mexican institutions and our institution to partner, and it was more it was more deep. It was more strategic this time. It was more. It was more. Yes, we need to move ahead and we need to work together. It was more of that collaboration that you wouldn't normally see in previous years, I would say. There is this high, very high interest from our side and from their side to work together and collaborate in the post-secondary institution area. The regarding research and innovation on both sides, there are things that institutions are working either locally in Mexico or here, and then that other perspective into research or innovation environments will give institution or industry a little bit of an edge in that, because you bring in another perspective. But I cannot list you all the development and things that are going on, but there are really interesting, cool initiatives in both sectors of the in both regions, in both countries, that are very tied to industry. The workforce development, but also in the innovation side of things. It's that that strength that our institutions have working in applied research and workforce development in completely alignment with local industry. I think that is one exchange that it's moving forward with both Mexico and Alberta. So a lot of things, and very open and very exciting time for sure.
Excellent, thank you. I'm going to bring one question from the public. Probably any of you that want to to answer. I just put it in the stage. I don't know, Travis, you are in Mexico. Maybe you are very close to what is happening with Pemex. I don't know. Somebody want, or Travis, maybe you want to answer.
Yeah, I can't comment on payments to Canadian suppliers as I don't know those details. Just in the news in the last day or two, there's been commentary that Pemex is doing a relatively better job at reducing their debt. So I think it's a long road ahead, but I think the indications are that there is a bit more of a level of seriousness around getting the financial house in order in Pemex. So, we'll see, but I think the initial indications here recently appear to be more positive, relatively speaking, given the Pemex situation.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I don't know if you have questions between you. Somebody has a question for any of you? Otherwise, I can ask. Brian.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would comment is just on the Canadian trade mission that's taking place in a couple of weeks in Mexico. We reported on it as, the largest trade mission Canada has ever sent to Mexico. I think that's a good sign for Canadian business to be getting more involved and more active, because as I alluded before, and I guess that's my question, I'd like your perspective on it. The perception from us in Mexico, and I'm from the United States living in Mexico, is that Canada is not doing as much as they can to have a seat at the table as things are shifting, right? The world is shifting, the conversation is fast-paced and changing, and there's just a bit of a perception that Canada is maybe caught off guard or not as aligned with North America, understandably so, and given some of the things that have happened. But just wondering what your perspective is on that, Miguel and others.
I can comment, and probably Benigno can complement a little bit, and Eduardo as well. But I have been in promoting international trade between Canada and Mexico and Latin America for many years. And one of the observations that I have had, not just recently, during the years, is that probably Canadian companies or Canadian business persons are, Americans are very aggressive, right? In the good way of doing business. When there is something, the opportunity is there, you just go, right? Mm-hmm. I have seen Canadians are more cautious, right? Cautious. They are evaluate. They take more time. So everything happened here in Canada. I have lived here for 24 years, and everything is slowly, right? The process to take a decision, take your time. And I think I have talked to different companies, and I think right now with all the situation that is happening geographically all over the world in more protected economy. So I think Canada needs to be more aggressive, Canadians in general, just to pursue international opportunities and just explore alternative markets, because also the United States has been a natural market for us, very easy market, right? Just go down, you say similar culture, same language, basically, very easy to go there. But we are very dependent. I think we need to be more aggressive just to go and find opportunity. And Latin America, Mexico represents great opportunity. But I think that's the reason. I don't know, Benigno, maybe you have a perspective.
I just want to kind of rephrase what we just already mentioned. I mean, the goal of increasing the relationship with Mexico is there. I mean, there are some signals. I don't know. The Prime Minister was in Mexico, or in the case of Alberta, we had our premier here as well. And obviously, what we want to do as premiers, the Prime Minister said, we want to be on the table, not be part of the menu, right? So it's what he said. So we really want to do that. But I echo what Miguel said. We take a little bit more time to make decision, and that affects kind of the style of doing things. But once we get in there, we are going to be there forever. So that's the kind of a little bit of a difference, and I've seen it along the years.
Excellent. Excellent. Very good. Thank you. Eduardo, you want to comment?
Just to add that I think we're ready. I think we're ready, and I think it's a good time for us to get closer to Mexico and Latin America in general. And I think we're moving in the right direction.
Excellent. Excellent. No, thank you for the perspective. Anyone has another question, Benigno, for the group, or Eduardo,
Well,
maybe?
Well, I have a question probably for Travis, that he's in Mexico, and stats shows a lot, and I'm wondering in 2025, in terms of foreign direct investment, there was a big jump. I mean, there is $41 billion into Mexico. Given the situation and the challenges Mexico has, how do you explain that? That's an interesting way. Why everybody wants to be in Mexico?
Yeah, good question. I think it's important to remember that those foreign direct investment numbers are announcements, right? So it's not actual money invested yet.
Yeah.
It's announcements of investment. So it is a good leading indicator. It's probably the best leading indicator of what's coming. It was a record number last year. And if you dug into the numbers a little bit, what's interesting is the percentage that was new investment.
I see.
So there's new investment and reinvestment of profits, and the new investment dollars actually increased on the previous year. So that was a positive trend. So I think there's a lot of moving parts right now in the Mexican economy, right? As I mentioned, you have a GDP growth rate that's slow, far slower than the world average, than the Latin American average, than the North American average. You have inflation still a little on the high side. You have a very strong peso. The Mexican peso appreciated more against the US dollar last year than it has ever in a year before. And then you have these large announcements from the federal government on new investments. So that there's a lot of moving parts, but I think the best way to specifically answer your question is that those are foreign direct investment announcements and not yet actually, impacting the growth rate of the economy.
Good. The other question that I have, and I mean, not everything is rosy, right? So one of the big challenges that remains in Mexico, and that now I'm asking you because you live in Mexico, all this violence that is we hear every single day. What is your sense of? Is this a real sense? Is something that Mexico's working on it? I mean, we're a long distance, but we hear news every day.
So I live in San Miguel de Allende, which is in the central part of the country, in the state of Guanajuato, which is actually the state that has the highest rate of violence. And I'll give you the perspective I see from here. I think, and part of the reason my wife and I purchased Mexico News Daily was too much of the narrative about Mexico was around violence, right? That is a part of the country that unfortunately is part of the story of Mexico. But there's so much more going on in the country, especially in the business world right now, in terms of opportunity, that I think oftentimes the story of cartels and the story of violence becomes the story, right? And it becomes too dominant. So what about here in Mexico? And I'm pretty much every week traveling somewhere in the country. I can tell you, looking at the numbers from the federal government, President Sheinbaum reported a 30% reduction in homicides last year from the previous year, right? Yeah. So, we actually ran an article last week really digging into those numbers, saying, can that number be trusted? Because if you look at, disappearances versus homicides, there's noise there. So what I encourage people to look at is the cooperation taking place between the United States government and the Mexican government. And pretty much every indication you see is that it's an unprecedented level of cooperation against crime and against cartels, right? That the security leader of Mexico right now, Harfush, really seems to have the respect of the US administration, the trust of the administration. And whether you're looking at things like seizures of fentanyl labs, arrests of cartel leaders, sending of cartel leaders from Mexican prisons to United States prisons, allowing FBI, CIA drone flights over Mexican territory. Pretty much across the board, there's evidence that the level of cooperation to make a difference in this persistent, terrible problem of crime and violence is going to change. So I think there's reason for hope. The number reported by the government gives you hope, but I think even looking beyond that at the actions that are actually taking place, I think there's real reason for hope.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
There is a question for you, Travis, here, how people can subscribe to your magazine and if the article is published in your magazine.
Yeah, so pretty much I live and breathe what's going on in Mexico. So everything I've referenced in this podcast has been an article in Mexico News Daily in the last week or two. We have 10 to 12 articles every single day about what's going on in Mexico and the relationship with the world. Our website is mexiconewsdaily.com. mexiconewsdaily.com. We have zero advertising, and so we really, we're really focused on providing high quality, unbiased news and information for readers.
Excellent. We have a question here from Jim Stephenson. Is there a program in Mexico like the SHRED program? I don't know what is the SHRED program. I don't know, Benigno? No. Jim, if you can just specify what is the SHRED program, maybe we can answer that question. But I'm not familiar with the SHRED program.
I'm not either.
No.
Anyway, we have like 8 minutes still. I don't know. Is there other question here? Oh, Benigno, I want to ask what another area of opportunities do you see on top of the energy sector and other areas that you can see between Alberta and Mexico?
Again, I listed 3 of them. The second one in the environmental sector is one of our biggest strengths as well. We have too much to offer: water, wastewater, solid waste, and a number of clean tech opportunities. And some of them, let me tell you, they are linked with how we develop those technologies thanks to the oil and gas, right? So that I see a lot of link between oil and gas, but they have advancing into other sectors. So environment will be one. All this artificial intelligence, I don't know if you've heard about it, but probably even Eduardo can elaborate a little bit more. But artificial intelligence is one of the areas that has been developed here very much indeed, and can be shared with Mexico. Eduardo, I don't know if you want to expand on that, but I think it is one of the areas that we can offer in the educational side.
Yeah, AI in Alberta it's world renowned. Like we have the probably one of the most important center for AI development in the world. So, and that is happening here. So anything that post-secondary institutions are doing, but through also institutes in that field, it's just massive, and it's happening, and it's the quality and the scope of AI development is just massive here. That is something that we lead in the world. So something to work with institutions for sure.
Yeah.
Excellent. And thank you, Jim. Ryan is clarifying the program is basically a research program with the government can cover some of. I don't know if there is still some government institutions in Mexico that I can cover research. I think CONACYT was one of them before. I don't know. Do you know something about this, Travis? Probably.
Yeah, I mean, not specifically, but I mean, I would encourage, talking to your Canadian Chamber of Commerce, and they're going to know exactly who to point you in or put you in contact with. Those kinds of programs are popular in different countries around the world, and I can't say it for certainty, but I do believe Mexico has programs that incentivize research investment as well.
Excellent. I have a question regarding, I don't know who of you, probably Travis again, that you are in Mexico, but what are the opportunities to work with I know the government, the local government, like Jalisco, Nuevo León, etc. They have a lot of power in some specific sectors. And in fact, this Canadian trade mission is going to visit Guadalajara and Monterrey. And this is they are focused in a specific sector like the creative industries, advanced manufacturing, clean energy, etc. But how do you see the opportunity to work with the states on top of the federal government?
I think, it's funny that obviously states compete with one another to get investment, right? And so some of them are doing a better job at that. The governor of Nuevo León, Samuel Garcia, has sort of famously been a real champion at getting investment into his state. If you look at Jalisco as well, where Guadalajara is, Guadalajara is booming, right? And they're focused more on, high tech, on chips, more on intellectual property type projects. So those are two really good examples, but really nationwide, I mean, there's examples. So where I am in Guanajuato, there's a large agricultural industry. There's a large automotive industry. Different parts of the country have healthcare type technology or health technology. So I think Mexico has taken some lessons from the Chinese government, right? The Chinese government really, I think, provided an example to the world of being business friendly, pro-business, welcoming, and helpful. And some of the states I mentioned are really getting better and better at that, to help you figure out, if you're looking for an industrial park, they understand, what are your water needs? What are your electricity needs? What are your cost, limitations? And they'll really help you with that. There's really a large infrastructure here to help companies move fast. And then even within, there's different business models as well, where, there's even like turnkey manufacturers who'll do the manufacturing for you or help you set up your own plant. So I think it's evolved a lot. It's become much more professional, with private companies supporting companies looking to invest, and also state governments, state and local governments.
Excellent. Well, we are just 2 minutes to go, and I just want to thank you, all of you, for this conversation, for this ¿Qué pasa in Mexico? And just that you shared your perspectives. I emphasize there is a great opportunities, a great momentum for the Canada-Mexico relationship. And obviously as well, the integration of North America and the review of CUSMA that is just happening. It's going to happen, or it's happening right now. But I think a lot of opportunity. We want to invite you as a CCA. First we are going to be in Mexico City from February. I'm going to be February 15 to 17 in Mexico City. And if you are going to be part of the trade mission, hopefully I can see you there and we can continue the conversation. And also extend you the invitation. I'm going to share, thank you very much to all of you, to Travis, Benigno, Eduardo, please thank you for your timing. And I'm going to share with you my screen here because we really want to invite you to this Canada-Mexico summit that we are planning just for March 10. We are talking different opportunities, trade corridors in North America, critical minerals and sustainable mining, for example, agri-foods, digital transformation, energy transition. So hopefully you can join us. The QR code is there in the screen. We are going to leave it there for for 1 minute probably. and hopefully see you around. Just thank you very much. Have a great day, everyone, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Gracias.
Thank you very much.
Gracias a todos. Buenas tardes.
Bye.